You just fill the seats here, if you don't mind.
Got attorneys too, Joe?
What's that?
The attorneys coming in? The attorneys. Get them in here.
All right.
Time to talk was before 9. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're all so happy to be here. I just sent the court officer out to get the attorneys in here. We're gonna get started. A little cooler.
Better.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Kaplan. Sir, how do you pronounce your first name?
L. Tony.
Al Tony. All right. Have a seat, folks. All right, good morning again. How many of you folks have served on a jury somewhere before? Wow, quite a few of you. Any of you served locally, district court level? Here? How long ago, ma'am?
6 years ago at the old building.
Okay, okay. So the rest of you, I'm assuming, served downtown? Okay. And those of you that served downtown, you all made good money that day, right? Yeah. Did any of you make money, or did you spend more to park and eat lunch than you did for jury duty? Right? Okay. All right, let's do another way. How many of you, when you got your notice about today's court date, got excited about the idea of serving on jury duty? There's usually one or two that are, yeah, kind of, right? Most of you probably thought things that you wouldn't want small kids to hear, right? I mean, let's be honest. Most people don't look forward to jury duty. And I think some of the reasons are, because, once again, how many of you made money on jury duty? Usually, not only does the time suck, but if you get called to serve downtown, you probably lost money. Unless you're lucky enough to work with one of those companies, they pay you, and then you turn over your $40 check from the county or whatever it is to them. Okay. Now, I say that, number one, it's a little icebreaker, but number two, I want you to understand something. We understand that most of you aren't real comfortable with the idea of being on jury. Okay, if nothing else, we're asking you to come in and do a job that you're not well trained to do, and probably do it with a bunch of people you've never met until today. All right, so it's not a comfortable thing. So we're going to try to make this uncomfortable process as uncomfortable as we can for you. All right, so with that in mind, you can all hear me, right? No big deal, I'm pretty loud. But if at any point you can't hear what's being said, don't just tough it out and think it's you. Okay, just, hey, you know, do the old grade school thing. I can't hear back here. Temperatures, we've been fighting back and forth for the last 2 weeks. In the courtroom, Heather's complaining at 60 degrees. Today, I think it was 75 in here this morning. So I dropped the thermostat. We finally think we have the thermostats actually controlling our heat. So if it's too cold, if it's too hot, you know, just, we'll do what we can do. We want to try to make you comfortable. You've probably figured out who I am because I've got this, you know, high dollar name tag in front of me. My name is Brian Oakley. I'm one of 3 judges in the building. Heather is my secretary reporter. Her job is to make me look good. Her job when we get this trial started is to record everything that's said on my side of that half wall that separates you and I. All right. That's important for you to understand because some of you are going to come up here and, well, actually, some of you are going to answer questions back there probably. But some of you are going to end up here in the jury box as prospective jurors, and the attorneys and I are going to ask you questions. So number one, don't answer this way because Heather can't record that. And I would also prefer that you don't answer this way. Because once again, on a transcript sound pretty similar. So try to stick with the yeses, the nos, I don't know, I don't understand the question, just audible answers. The other thing that's important for you to understand about her role is if an attorney is asking you a question and you're so anxious to be a helpful would-be juror, you start answering before the attorney's done with the question. And we've got two voices going in her headset. Can you imagine? Okay. So wait that beat, make sure the question is done before you start your answer. Joe's job, Joe Krove is my court officer today. Jamie Garcia, another court officer. We kind of rotate the guys in and out depending on what duties are necessary. Joe's primary function is to be in the courtroom and make sure that we're all safe. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all today as far as the safety thing. So his secondary conduit or secondary role is a conduit from you to me. So if you want to complain about the temperature, just catch Joe's ear, you know, in or out, you know, raise your hand, whatever. Let him know whatever you need to make this uncomfortable process more comfortable. Let's see, I'm kind of going off script here, but that's okay. One of my jobs is to make sure that you get all the information you need. If at the end of the day, we ask you to make a decision, guilty or not guilty, you need to have certain information. My job is to make sure you get that information. That requires that I share a lot of official stuff from the Michigan jury instructions with you. I've got 3 volumes up here. They don't all apply today, so no panic there. But I've got an iPad where I've got all this stuff on, and I'm going to look down and read from that iPad from time to time. And I always apologize in advance because you might tell I'm kind of a people person. I like to look at people when I'm talking to them. I'd rather engage, but we don't have high dollar teleprompters like are out there, so I can pretend I'm looking at you when I'm really looking at the teleprompter like the politicians do. So I've got to look down here to read. And I'm going to do a lot of that today, so I apologize in advance. But I'm going to take this time to ask the attorneys to identify themselves. And Mr. Kaplan, you can identify your client and any other witnesses you've got, the same with Ms. Mandarich. So let's do that first. Start with the people.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patricia Mandrack, and I'm representing the people of the state of Michigan in this case.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Kaplan. I'm representing Mr. Altani Williams, who's present, and to my right right now.
All right, thank you both. All right, so let's get started. You can listen, I can read. A trial begins with jury selection. The purpose of this process is to obtain information about you that will help us to choose a fair and impartial jury to hear the case. During jury selection, the lawyers and I will ask you questions. This is called the voir dire. The questions are meant to find out if you know anything about the case. Also, we need to find out if you have any opinions or personal experiences that might influence you for or against the prosecution, the defendant, or the witnesses. One or more of these things could cause you to be excused in this particular case, even though you may otherwise be qualified to be a juror. The questions may probe deeply into your attitudes, beliefs, and experiences. They are not meant to be an unreasonable prying into your private life. The law requires that we get this information so that an impartial jury can be chosen. If you do not hear or understand a question, you should say so. If you do understand it, you should answer it truthfully and completely. Please do not hesitate to speak freely about anything you believe we should know. During jury selection, you may be excused from serving on the jury in one of 2 ways. First, I may excuse you for cause. That is, I may decide that there's a valid reason why you cannot or should not serve in this case. Or a lawyer from one side or the other may excuse you without giving any reason for doing so. This is called a peremptory challenge. The law gives each side the right to excuse a certain number of jurors in this way. If you are excused, you should not feel bad or take it personally. As I explained before, there simply may be something that causes you to be excused from this particular case. I'm now going to ask you all to stand and swear to answer truthfully, fully, and honestly all the questions that you will be asked about your qualification to serve as a juror in this case. If you have religious beliefs against taking an oath, you may affirm that you will answer the questions truthfully, fully, and honestly. Please stand, raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truthfully and completely answer all questions about your qualifications to serve as jurors in this case? Thank you. Have a seat. All right. I don't have any reason to think that this trial will not be completed in what I call one business day, like 4 or 5 o'clock today. Does anybody have any reason why they couldn't stick with us until 4 or 5 p.m. today? No? All right, good. How about health questions?
There was somebody.
Oh, was there? Ma'am, what's your name? State your name. Russell?
Yes.
Tell us what the issue is. 2 o'clock? Okay. Where's she at? Belleville. Okay. All right. We'll keep that in mind if we get you up here. All right. Anybody else got any time constraints? Okay. How about health issues? Have you noticed I stand? I've been doing this for years because I've had back problems since I was in my 20s. And the last bad episode I had, I asked my chiropractor what I have to start doing differently. And he said, quit sitting so much. So I listened. So I'm sympathetic with back issues. Anybody got a back problem or any other problem that just sitting for too long is problematic?
Solid wood.
Yeah. Your name, sir?
Michael Anderson.
Anderson. All right, Mr. Anderson, if you get picked, I always pick on the first person to do this. If you get picked on the jury, you're actually seated in the jury, then it's on you. You're like the brake monitor, okay? When you need to just get up and stretch, move, whatever, just judge, give us a break when you can, all right? Because I understand, you know, in our business, we spend a lot of time, well, I don't, but most of us spend a lot of time on our butts and we're pretty good at it. So we can just sit and sit and sit and sit. People that are more active can't. Yes, sir.
Oh, we're just here for the day, but if we have a cushion out in our vehicle, we have a break, grab a cushion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, if you won't be there all day, I can promise you that. All right. So if you get picked on the jury, so you're staying for a while, we've got nicer chairs up here.
Perfect.
But I mean, if you want your own cushion, we can accommodate that too. How about any other health issues? We've established that you can hear. Yes, sir. What's your name?
James
Mr. James. Last name?
Lindstrom.
Lindstrom. Thank you, sir. What's the issue?
Yeah, well, I'm sick, and yesterday I had a fever. I don't know if people might not want me to.
Okay.
Get so close to it.
Okay. All right.
I feel a lot better today.
Okay. Have you had? I mean, any diagnosis? I guess is the question.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, 3 years ago, I would have said, I hope you feel better and left you right where you're at. But things have changed, haven't they? Any objections if I let Mr. Lindstrom get out of here so he doesn't contaminate anybody else? Nothing personally.
No
Objection
objection.
from the
All right.
board, Your Honor.
Goodbye and feel better. How about hearing issues? Not just me, because everybody's not as loud as me. Any issues at all? Health issues? Okay. Yes, sir. Name?
Edward Abernaw.
Abernall?
Abernaw.
Abernall.
Hearing.
Okay, but you're okay with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, if anything's said on this side of that half wall and you don't hear it, you know, or, you know, whatever you got to do, whatever you got to do. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Wonderful. Okay. All right, this is a criminal case. The paper or the document used to charge the defendant with a crime is called a complaint. The complaint in this case charges that the defendant, L. Tony Williams, with the crime of domestic violence and reads as follows. Oh, I just noticed something here, Heather. Internal dispute.
It's not, no. That's just exactly as.
You follow me?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so the complaint says that on February 12, 2023, in the city of Romulus, Mr. Williams did make an assault or an assault and battery upon Krista Noel Calloway, his spouse and/or an individual with whom he had a child in common, contrary to Michigan compiled laws. The defendant has pled not guilty to these charges. You should clearly understand that the complaint I have just read is not evidence. A complaint is read in every criminal trial so that the defendant and jury can hear the charges. You must not think that it is evidence of his guilt or that he must be guilty because he has been charged. A person accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. This means that you must start with the presumption that Mr. Williams is innocent. This presumption continues throughout the trial and entitles the defendant to a verdict of not guilty unless you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. Every crime is made up of parts called elements. The prosecutor must prove each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant is not required to prove his innocence or to do anything. If you find that the prosecutor has not proven every element beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant not guilty. A reasonable doubt is a fair, honest doubt growing out of the evidence or lack of evidence. It is not merely an imaginary or possible doubt, but a doubt based on reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt is just that, a doubt that is reasonable after a careful and considered examination of the facts and circumstances. All right, so some more questions. All of you live in Belleville, Romulus, Sumter, Huron, or Van Buren? Good. Been a long, long time since we let anybody slip in. All right, do any of you know anybody that's been introduced? Court staff, attorneys, anyone? No? Good. All right. Have any of you been involved in any kind of a criminal prosecution, either as a defendant, a witness, a victim?
I know you, but. Anthony Richard Howard.
Oh, thank you. How are you? How's the old man? No, and I say that with the utmost respect. And anybody that knows Mr. Rich, right? You're not Mr. Richendaler. Anybody that knows Mr. Richendaler, if you went to school in Belleville, what, for 40 years probably, right? Yeah. So how's he doing?
He's good. He's in
Good.
the hospital. Not him personally, my mom is in there.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Good. Give him my best. Give him my best. So the fact that you know me wouldn't cause you to be less than fair to anybody that speaks, the defendant, the prosecution, anybody, the witnesses, anybody like that, would it? I'm asking that. That sounded like a demand. That was a question, right? Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Okay. So any of you ever been involved in a criminal case? No? Yes, sir. Your name first.
Anthony, last name
Bergman?
Burdick.
Burdick.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I'm going to use it. I'm late on you, Mr. Burdick, but notice I'm asking everybody that speaks on the record to state their name. That's because she's recording. Even though you're back there right now, she's recording, so I just try to get named. What's the issue, sir?
The issue, sir, is I'm prior law enforcement.
Who did you work for?
Well, for Department of Defense and Department of New York.
Okay. Okay. Good. And you think that I'm assuming you're retired because of the way you worded that?
From that. Department of Defense.
Those agencies. Okay. All right. Anything about the time you spend working in those agencies that would cause you to be less than fair and objective?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Well, that's a good segue. Any other criminal case experience? That's a good segue into this question. Have any of you got any family or friends that are in law enforcement? Maybe your brother-in-law's a cop somewhere, or your sister works in the corrections or something like that. Anybody? Well, let's start with you, Ms. Bergman. Lots of them, I assume.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My daughter was a city of Dearborn police officer.
Okay.
Up until her retirement about 5 years.
Okay. And you know what the next question is, right? Those relationships, will they cause you to be less than fair and objective today?
To my knowledge.
Okay. In front row, I think there was a hand. Your name, sir?
Dwayne Sparks.
Sparks, Mr. Sparks. Who do you know?
My mom is a retired sheriff of Milwaukee County, and my sister is a current police officer in Milwaukee.
What county?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay, I'm like Milwaukee. Oh, that's not in Michigan. Anything about the relationship with mom and your sister that would cause you to be less than fair and objective?
Okay.
Yeah, and that's usually the answer I get, because what I found is people that are related to cops or have been cops, they know better than anybody else that cops are people, right? All right, good, bad, otherwise, you judge your credibility like you judge anybody else. And you're going to hear something formal about that later. Anyone else? Any relationships we should know about? Okay, specifically, I said that this was a domestic violence charge against Mr. Williams. Does that rate, and hopefully you're picking up the theme, fair and objective, fair and objective. We want clean, the attorneys and I, we want a clean slate when we get a jury up here. We want people with open minds. So any of you have any thoughts when I say domestic violence? Do any of you have any experiences there that you think you could be a great juror on, maybe maybe a shoplifting case, but you just don't think you can be fair and objective and unbiased today because it's domestic violence? Anyone have any thoughts like that kicking around in your head? Okay, good. All right, any of you have any preconceived notions, maybe religious beliefs or anything like that, that would prevent you from sitting in judgment of a fellow citizen, Mr. Williams? No. Yes, sir. Your name first. Last name again, I'm sorry. Thomas. Yes, sir.
Based on my religious beliefs, I do not feel that judgment is my place. That's God's place, not mine.
Okay.
I do have an issue with that. But we're just paper I have, it does not.
Here's what I'm gonna do with that. Here's what I do that for two reasons. Number one, I don't want to take a lot of time right now if it's unnecessary. Number two, I don't want to put you on a hot seat if it's not necessary. If you, when we do the random draw, if you end up here on the jury or on the jury panel, then I'm going to allow the attorneys to ask questions and maybe get into that a little deeper. Okay? But if luck of the draw, if you don't get chosen to be up here, then go with God. Have a great day. Okay? All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right, I'm going to turn the panel over to you folks. Let's get some names up here. So when Officer Krova says your name, if he mispronounces your last name, correct it, please. Otherwise, the attorneys and I are going to call you by the wrong name all day.
You're number 24, Terry Russell.
Russell. Yeah. Closest to Officer Krova, you're number one. And you know, I still number backwards because I'm used to the way we used to do it.
Juror number 19, Chase Martin. Juror number 23, Anthony Richendollar. Is that right, Mr. Richendollar? Juror number 1, Michael Anderson.
Yeah, help yourself. We got lots. Okay. Up here. Hold, stop. There you go. Yeah. That'll reflect on Krova's evaluation.
Kevin Bartholomew.
Watch your ramp.
Juror number 7, Roger Cripps. Juror number 25, Alexa Scroggie. Scroggie?
Take it off.
One. That's Joe. How many you got?
6.
Really? Bad weekend for Mr. Crow. All right, folks, you have not dodged a bullet yet. All right, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Now, the attorneys are going to ask some questions of these folks. I want you to answer the question that you hear them asked. I want you to answer that question in your head. Because if one of these folks gets an excuse for whatever reason, you might find yourself in their chair. And the first thing I'm going to say is, have you been listening? Have you been paying attention? Would you answer those questions any differently than the people around you have? The idea is, once again, we want a fair, objective, unbiased jury panel. And folks, you know, we're all biased. I mean, let's be honest, we're human beings, so we're all biased. The question is, do any of your particular biases prevent you from being fair and objective today? I mentioned earlier, you might be a perfectly wonderful juror for case number A, but just on this case, there might be just something about this case that makes you less than a fair and objective juror. No criticism, okay? It's just, we can't make that determination as the professionals involved unless we know what's going on in your head. That's why we ask questions. That's why hopefully you're giving us honest answers. Okay, so welcome. I think I've got all my preliminaries out of the way already. So I'm gonna open it up to you two.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for being here. I know you're super excited. Or at least one of you. Juror number 1, Terry Russell. And I apologize for looking down. I have to type because my handwriting's illegible. What do you do for a living? I'm sorry?
Could you speak up?
Okay, and what is your role? And I think the judge might have already asked this. Have you or any member of your family or anyone you're close to ever been a victim of domestic violence? Okay. Do you mind if I ask who?
Yes, my god sister.
Your god sister? And would your experiences with your god sister impact your ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this case?
Maybe because the person's in prison right now.
Okay. Did your experience with your god sister give you any opinions about domestic violence?
But sometimes it's unfair. You know how you look at things, situations. A lot of times, the man does look like the worst one instead of the woman. So in my opinion, and in my case in Christ, it may be a little different than most people.
Okay.
And like I said, he's still in prison, doing pretty much life for something that wasn't unfair. So.
Okay. Okay. So you feel that his sentence was disproportionate, basically. Okay. The judge is gonna give you an instruction and the judge is gonna tell you to set aside any preconceived notions that you may have about domestic violence, to look at this with fresh eyes. Would you be able to set aside those experiences?
I can try.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move to strike juror number 1 for cause.
Mr. Cavill.
No objection.
Ms. Russell, thank you for your time. Stay there just for a second, because I get it. This is a good time for me to give a lecture. If any one of you, when you're excused, if you need documentation to show that you were actually here, so if JD Hunt needs you to prove you actually showed up for jury duty, for example, we've got paperwork for that. Are we doing that at the kiosk or downstairs?
That would be downstairs at the cashier.
All right, so first floor, cashier's counter. The other thing is, you're free to stick around. We love visitors. You said you've got a daughter that's in high school. In a week or so, she's gonna be bored because there's nothing to do for the summer. Bring them up here, we'll give them a good little civics lesson. So we love visitors, and now you're free to go.
Thank you.
What's your step?
Juror number 21, Stephen Naduki. Naduki, sorry.
Say it again, sir.
Indukwe.
Indukwe.
Yes.
That's a tough one. Watch your step on the ramp.
Sure.
Yeah, all the way in here, all the way in here. We keep it numbered, so although it's more work for you guys, it's easier for us. And I'm kind of in charge here, so. All right, counsel.
All right. Good morning, sir. Basically same questions as I had for the previous juror number 1. Any family, friends, yourself, victim of domestic violence?
No.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
Physical therapist.
Physical therapist, nice. How long have you been a physical therapist?
Yes.
20 years? Okay. As a physical therapist, have you ever worked with victims of domestic violence?
No.
Okay.
That is not my focus.
Okay. Now, since you're a physical therapist, you've got a medical background, right?
Yes.
So, and my husband's a doctor, so maybe you're kind of like him in that he needs everything to be very black and white, you know, because in medicine, you have test results to base your decisions off of. You have scientific studies, you have 1.5 million years of schooling and residency. If I came in here with 20 boxes of evidence, which I don't have, because this is a 1-day trial, don't worry. If I came in here with 20 boxes of evidence and 20 witnesses, and I had them all testify, and you didn't believe any of them, what would your verdict be?
Well, it's,
If you didn't believe any of them,
and, it's gonna be, neutral, it's gonna be kind of.
they'd be not guilty, right? Because I haven't proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. What if I bring in, well, what's your favorite, do you have a favorite crime drama? Crime TV show, CSI? Any other juror? No? No CSI Law and Order fans? Okay. What if I bring in 100 boxes of evidence and 100 witnesses, and I have FBI behavior analysis experts fly in, and I have them show you fingerprints and DNA, but you don't believe any of it? What's your verdict gonna be? Not guilty, right? You don't believe it. What if I bring in just one witness? Just one witness. And you believe everything that she says? What would your verdict be?
Unfair question.
Sometimes.
Oh.
We don't know what she said.
Okay,
Maybe she just spent an hour talking about the weather.
good point. Okay, I'll expand on that. So I bring in one witness. She testifies that she was assaulted and punched in the face and robbed and had her car stolen. And you believe everything that she says. What would your verdict be?
There are two sides to this, so, I mean, I have to hear the other side, so that I can make.
What if you believe that one witness over the other side? The other side testifies and you don't believe him or her.
Okay, so definitely you gotta put the two on equal. Then I don't believe this, I believe this, definitely I go one.
Okay, so you find him guilty, right? Because you don't believe the defendant and you believe that she is being honest about being robbed and beaten and having her car stolen.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
definitely, again, yes, two sides to it,
yeah,
so.
but there's no minimum amount of evidence that it's not like I have to present a minimum of 5 witnesses
Mhm.
or a minimum of 5 boxes of evidence. Okay, thank you. And then juror number 2, Mr. Chase Martin. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Michigan Sandblast.
Michigan sandblasting. Okay, that sounds kind of fun. What do you do there? Probably blast sand?
I'm a head powder coater.
Head of powder coating, okay. How long have you been there?
Just over a year.
Okay. Have you or anyone close to you, friends or family, been a victim of domestic violence? What's your highest level of education completed?
High school.
High school, okay. Okay, and juror number 3, Mr. Anthony Richendaler. Good morning. What do you do for a living?
Got a bunch of different jobs.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So my main job is kindergarten to 5th grade English teacher.
Okay,
Jamie?
And I'm sorry, could you just speak up a little bit so that Heather can?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of all the ones, so DoorDash, Uber. That's pretty much
Okay. How long have you been a K through 12 music teacher for?
23 years.
23 years. What school district do you work for?
Southgate.
Southgate. And have you or any member of your family, close friends, been a victim of domestic violence?
My sister's husband, first husband. Yeah, but try to.
Okay. Okay, and do you mind if I ask you a couple more questions about that? Your sister's husband was, your sister's husband the victim, or was your sister the victim?
Sister's
I'm sorry?
husband.
Sister's husband was the victim. Okay, so your sister was the assailant.
No, I'm sorry. Oh, no. My sister was the victim.
Okay, thank you. And did that leave you with any specific opinions about domestic violence?
Well, she didn't tell us until she was 2 or 3, and I guess until like after prison or something else.
Okay. Okay. Do you think you'd be able to set that aside and be fair and impartial? All right. Juror number 4, Mr. Anderson. Good morning to you. First question, what do you do for a living?
I'm a facility maintenance supervisor for Angel's Place out of Southfield.
Facility maintenance supervisor for Angel's Place?
Yes.
And what is Angel's Place?
It is a agency a Christian agency that has adult foster care homes for the developmentally disabled.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
20 years.
20 years?
As of August, this August.
Okay. During your experience working with the adult foster care home, have you had any experience with victims of domestic violence?
With coworkers, I have.
With coworkers?
Yes. None with residents that I'm aware of.
Okay. And do those experiences leave you with any specific impressions about domestic violence?
It's clear with some of the ladies that they live with a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some incidents at our home where men have come to the home to confront those ladies.
Okay. Okay. And do you think that you'd be able to set those aside and follow the judge's instructions and be fair and impartial?
Yeah, I think so.
Mr. Bartholomew, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Good morning to you. Same question. What do you do for a living?
IT manager for Ford Motor Company.
IT manager at Ford Motor Company. Okay, one of the big 3. And how long have you been there?
22 years.
22 years. Okay. And how far did you go in school? Grad school. Okay. What was your degree in? Okay, business administration. What's your opinion on math? Okay, good. I will tell you that the stereotype about lawyers hating math is true, so, okay. Good that you don't like math. Any yourself, family members, close friends, victims of domestic violence? Family members? Okay, do you mind if I ask you a little bit more about that? Remember your aunt? And does that experience leave you with any specific impressions about domestic violence? Okay. And does would those experiences prevent you from being fair and impartial? Okay. All right. Juror number 6, Mr. Cripps.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Happy you're excited to be here.
Overwhelmed.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I am retired.
You're retired? Okay. What were you doing before you were retired?
I work for DTE
For DTE?
Energy. Yes.
Okay. So it was your fault when the power lines aren't restored fast enough after storms, right? All your fault
Well,
individually?
kind of, yeah.
Okay. Hope you can read the sarcasm there.
Oh, all right.
Okay. And have you or any close friends or family been a victim of domestic violence?
No.
Okay. And juror number 7, Miss Scroggy, saying that right? Scroggy, okay. Good morning to you. What do you do for a living?
Graduated from PA school,
Oh, congratulations.
so I take my boards in 2 weeks.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
That's why I brought the flashlight.
Okay, okay. Congratulations on your recent graduation and good luck on your boards. And so you are a math person then?
Only dosing, like I hate math.
Okay, okay,
Maybe, but that's it.
okay. But you agree that it is a terror?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have you or any family members, close friends been a victim of domestic violence? Okay, on your rotations, or in your educational experiences, have you encountered anyone who's been a victim of domestic violence?
Yes.
Okay. Have those experiences left you with any particular opinions about domestic violence?
No.
Okay. All right. Juror number 2, Mr. Martin. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit, sorry. Because you have an interesting job, you blast Sam. Okay. Do you have a favorite crime TV show? You do not, okay. No one on this jury watches CSI or Law and Order? Is my husband the only weirdo that marathons these shows? Okay, well, that's a red flag apparently. So going back to the earlier box example, is there a minimum number of witnesses other than one? I'm gonna have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, at least through some sort of evidence. So if I bring in one witness and she testifies that she was beaten, she was robbed, and she had her car stolen, and you believe her, and you don't believe the defendant, what would your verdict be?
Guilty.
Why?
Evidence.
Good. Okay. So there's no minimum number. You don't expect me to fly in an FBI behavior analyst? Okay. You don't expect me to present high-end forensics? Okay. But then I'm gonna keep picking on you, sorry, even though just your job is kind of interesting. So if you weren't blasting sand, let's say that, have you ever played the lottery?
Scratch-offs.
Scratch-offs? Okay, anyone play the lottery, buy a lottery ticket for the Mega Millions? Of course, and you're a PA too, so, or the physical therapist, so. Okay, so you bought a lottery ticket before, right? And if you buy the lottery ticket and you go into your job the next day and you tell your boss, I'm quitting. I don't need this job anymore. Goodbye to all of you. I'm gonna go home, never go to work again, buy my vacation house in the Bahamas, live the retired life. Is that reasonable? Are those actions reasonable?
Okay, I mean, it depends.
Okay, what does it depend on?
It depends. Did I win?
No, you don't know if you've won yet, you just got the ticket.
Hey, so I'm very unreasonable.
Very unreasonable,
Very,
right?
very unreasonable.
Okay, even though there is a non-zero chance that you could win the lottery.
Zero.
Okay. So, in order for something to be reasonable, it doesn't just have to, it has to be more than possible. Right? Okay. Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the people would like to thank and excuse juror number 7.
Perimeter, I'm assuming?
Yes, Judge Framfrey.
Okay. Ms. Groge, thank you. Watch your step. Good luck on your boards.
Juror number 9, Edward Evanoff.
Did you get it right, Ebanoff?
Evanoff, yes.
Have a seat. So, Mr. Ebanoff, have you been listening to the questions?
I have.
Anything that you think you should share with Madam Prosecutor?
Well, I do have my niece that was a victim of domestic violence.
Okay.
And I do watch CSI.
So the fact that your niece was a victim, would that cause you to be less than fair and objective today?
2 stories to every side, sir, so
Okay. So I would take that as a no?
I would be fair.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Mandrich.
Very briefly, Your Honor, since you are the first person who watches crime shows. Okay. I won't. Okay. So, have you seen Criminal Minds?
Used to watch that all that way.
Okay, where they have the FBI behavior analysts go across the country.
Correct.
Okay. Is everything that we see on TV always real?
No.
Okay. Do you think that in every case, we are able to fly in a team of FBI behavior profilers?
In every case.
In every case?
I guess if there was reasonable doubt to do that.
Okay. Do I have to fly in that team of specialists in order to prove my case to you?
Depending on the case,
Okay.
the circumstances.
Can you give me an example?
I guess if someone's being accused or charged with something, and then they bring the team in or say, and the evidence doesn't really show that,
Mm-hmm.
then
Okay. What if the team's not brought in at all? By either side?
depends on the story from each side, because there's 2 sides.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to thank and excuse juror number 7.
All right, Mr. Evanoff, watch your step on the ramp.
Juror number 3, Pamela Boson.
Did he get it right, Bosun?
He did.
Still doesn't make up for that math incident. Ms. Bosun, anybody close to you that was a victim of domestic violence?
No.
Based on the questions you've already heard, anything that you think you should share with us? Okay, Ms. Manrich?
Just very briefly, Ms. Boson, what do you do for a living?
I'm retired.
Okay, what did you do before you were retired?
IT.
IT? Okay. How long were you in IT for?
40 years.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Your panel.
Hello, everybody. Thank you again, as she stated, for you guys being here today. I'm going to go through some simple questions to kind of be a little redundant for you guys, but I do need to ask some questions. So, Juror 1, Mr. Naduki, do you believe that, do you understand that the people over here have the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt that my client is guilty?
Yes.
And do you understand that we don't actually, as defense, have a burden to prove he didn't do this? It's that they have to prove that he did, and that's beyond a reasonable doubt. And do you understand that there could be two sides to a story?
Yes.
And that they have to prove their side beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
And do you understand, and do you believe that it's possible for a woman to assault a man?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror 2, Mr. Martin. Same questions for you. Do you understand that it's the people who have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that my client is guilty?
Yes.
And that we as defense don't actually have a burden to prove here. It's that they have to prove it. And do you believe that there can be two sides to a story?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And is it Richendaler? Couldn't read my own handwriting. Same questions to you. Do you understand that they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt? And obviously, I know that your sister was a victim of domestic violence. Do you believe that there can be two sides to a story? And do you believe that are you going to be able to stay open-minded in this case and hear both sides before making a determination? Mr. Anderson, same thing as you. You understand that they have the burden of proof?
Yes.
And that we don't actually have to prove he didn't do it. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond a shadow of a doubt that he did. And I know that you experienced a lot of things with coworkers and fear in women in your 20 years. Do you believe that you can keep an open mind to this before you make a decision?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes.
All right. And you did have an aunt who was a victim of domestic violence. Do you understand that they have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
And that there's two sides to a story? And obviously, having that experience with your family, would you be able to keep an open mind in this case?
Yes.
Hear all the evidence before making a decision? Yes. Mr. Cripps, congratulations on being retired, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations on being retired. And you understand, as someone who, being here today, that they have the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and that we don't have to prove anything.
Correct.
And you've heard the charge read by the judge. Do you understand that are you going to keep an open mind from the time this case started, when you walked in this courtroom, to the time when both of us have our closing arguments before you make a decision?
I can.
And is it Ms. Boson? Okay. And you're retired from IT, and you have no connections to anyone who is. And would you be to keep an open mind in this case? And do you understand that they have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt? And that we as defense don't actually have to prove he didn't do this? And you understand, as anybody, that there's two sides to stories, and they have to prove their side beyond a reasonable doubt. Thank you. Here this time, we're gonna ask that Mr. Richendaler be excused.
Mr. Richendaler, you are excused. Good luck with your mom. Watch your step.
Thank you very much.
Juror number 12, Sheeham. Hamilton? Hamani, thank you.
Hamami,
Hamami.
good morning. Watch your step on the ramp. Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Hello, Ms. Mami. What do you do for a living?
I'm a team lead in high school, in Anapa.
Could you speak up? It's hard to hear. Team lead in high school?
Team lead in high school, Anapa.
I couldn't understand this though.
Team lead.
Oh, team lead, okay.
Team.
All right. And do you have anybody in your family that, or anybody, or any friends that you know who are victims of domestic violence? Are you married? Have any kids?
I have one.
Okay, one son. All right. Do you believe that you'd be able to keep an open mind in this case? Do you bring any from your life history? Do you bring anything that's going to make you predetermine the decision in this case? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. What would that be? I'm asking, given your life experiences, is there anything that would make you decide before all the evidence is heard, my client's guilt or innocence?
My name is a little
Okay. Understood. Your Honor, I'd request her 3B excuse for cause.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hamami, you are excused. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Juror number 4, Michelle Brinks.
Is he shouting? Good morning, Ms. Briggs.
Good morning, Ms. Brinks. Okay. What do you do for a living? Can you speak up a little bit?
Make medical aid for special needs.
Okay. How long have you been doing that?
About 2 years.
All right. Do you have anybody in your family who's ever been a victim of domestic violence? You were a victim of domestic violence? Do you think from that experience that you'd be able to keep an open mind to this? Your Honor, we're going to ask Ms. Brinks to be excused.
Ms. Brinks, watch your step.
Juror number 28, John Thomas.
Watch your steps.
Higher order brought you up here, Mr. Thomas. Higher order brought you up here, I guess. All right. So what do you do for a living, Mr. Thomas?
I'm a chef at facility.
Okay. Any experience with domestic violence?
Personally, no. I had a former girlfriend. She experienced domestic violence in a previous relationship.
Would that cloud your ability for judgment?
No.
Would you be to keep an open mind in this case?
Yes.
Do you understand that they would have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
You understand what reasonable doubt is?
Yes.
I have nothing further this time around.
Ms. Mandrich, any questions for Mr. Thomas?
Briefly, Your Honor. Morning, Mr. Thomas. You indicated earlier that you may have some religious beliefs that would affect your ability to serve as a juror. And I know we were trying to avoid putting you on the spot, but
According to my belief, my belief.
okay, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want you to shout at me.
Let me get the peppermint out of my mouth, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, you're fine. I always feel like I'm shouting in court.
According to my belief, in the Holy Bible, it states that man is not supposed to judge that. Only God can do that. Okay, and that's where I stand with it. Nothing short of that prevents me from being open-minded. But that's pretty much where I stand.
Okay. So if I presented my evidence and you believed my witness when they testified that they had been assaulted and robbed and had their car stolen, and you didn't believe defense's side of the story, what would your verdict be?
If I believe your side and you proved it,
Yes.
and then we begin.
Okay, so you would be able to set that religious belief aside and follow the law?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Tom, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, at this time, the people would like to thank and excuse juror number 3.
Mr. Thomas.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Have a good day, sir.
Juror number 31,
He is shouting.
Shanna Wilson Butler.
Ma'am, watch your step on my ramp. So, Ms. Butler, you've been paying attention, right?
Yes, sir.
You've heard the questions?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my favorite of all time questions for jurors. If it wasn't Mr. Williams in that chair, but it was somebody that you love dearly, would you want somebody with your mindset sitting in that chair?
Yes.
Okay. So you think you can be fair and objective?
Yes.
Okay. Based on the questions that the attorneys were asking, is there any information from your past experience that you think you should bring to light so they can have a chance to discuss it?
I do have a member that's dealing with domestic violence.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? I'm going to let them ask some questions. I just want to get the facts out.
No.
Okay. All right. Questions for Ms. Butler?
Very briefly. Number one, I'm sorry to hear that your family member is dealing with domestic violence. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to make you put everything out there. Is the family member a victim of domestic violence? Or the okay? And has your experience given you any specific opinions about domestic violence?
Yeah, but it's two sides of the story.
Two sides to each story?
Yes.
So you'd be able to keep an open mind?
Yes.
And hear defense's evidence?
Yes.
And the people's evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I'm a security guard at Ford Truck.
Security guard at Ford?
Yes.
How long have you been there for?
A year.
Okay.
I'm also a grad student for Health and Human Service.
I'm sorry, you're a grad student at studying Health and Human Services?
Yes.
Okay, where at?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, number one, congratulations, but also, where are you studying at?
Oakley Medical Academy in Florida.
Oh, good for you. Okay. So as a security guard, what are your duties include as a security guard?
Making sure everything is safe, collect paperwork from the drivers that come in and out, make sure we look in the back, make sure it's like stealing nothing, make sure parking lot is safe also, make sure no car is not being broken into. We recently had an incident, somebody taking Cadillac, running out of people's cars.
Cadillac converters, you said? Okay. So let's say that you're at work as a security guard, and I don't know how the Cadillac converters are actually kept. But let's say that they're in a locked room. Okay. And let's say that another person that your coworker who kind of sometimes maybe comes to, not saying you have coworkers like this. Let's say that one of your coworkers who kind of maybe smokes a little bit, a little bit of pot on the job sometimes, maybe has one of those weed vape pens. Let's say that your coworker just came out of that room because that's where your coworker goes to smoke pot. So that room smells like pot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's say that I walk in for whatever reason. I'm just there for Cadillac converter, or I'm just there at your job for some reason. So let's say that I walk in, I don't smell like pot when I walk in. And you don't see me go into that room. But let's say that I come to your job, you see me at the location, and then let's say Cadillac converters are small and I can put them in my pockets and you would notice it. I don't think they're that small for real, but let's say that I stuff a whole bunch of Cadillac converters in my pockets, right? And let's say that I walk out of the room I walk past you. Now, as I walk past you the second time, I reek of pot. How do we know that I was in that room?
Couldn't even tell if he was in that room or not, wasn't the camera there.
Okay. What about the fact that I smell like pot?
Because it just been walking by.
Okay, what if nowhere else smelled like pot except for that room? And I didn't have any vape pens or weed or anything on me. Okay. All right. Let's go with, how do we know that people have landed on the moon?
Let's not open that conspiracy theory. Where are you headed with it?
Circumstantial evidence, Judge.
Let's use the classic one.
The brain?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that you are in a room with no windows, right? You haven't been outside, you haven't seen the weather forecast. Let's say that someone walks in, they're wearing a raincoat, they're wearing rain boots, they've got an umbrella, they shake the water droplets off the umbrella, they put the wet raincoat on the chair to dry. How do we know that it was raining outside?
By them coming in, by them coming away.
But you didn't see it raining outside. So even though you didn't see it, you know that it was raining outside, right? Yeah. Okay. So even if you didn't see something happen specifically, you can look at other evidence and make reasonable inferences that it was raining outside, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Ms. Manrich, satisfied with the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Kaplan?
Satisfied, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, now you folks have dodged the bullet. You are free to leave. If you need a note, go downstairs, front counter, ask for that note that shows you were here today. Once again, we love to have visitors. Feel free to come back. And if you want to just stick around and see what happens, stick around as long as you want to go and leave when you need to. Thank you. All right, folks, I'm going to give you an oath. If you'll raise your right hands again. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been chosen to decide a criminal charge made by the state of Michigan against one of your fellow citizens. I'll now ask you to swear to perform your duty, to try the case justly, and to reach a true verdict. If your religious beliefs do not permit you to take an oath, you may instead affirm to try the case justly and reach a true verdict. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that in this action now before the court, you will justly decide the question submitted to you, that unless you are discharged by the court from further deliberations, you will render a true verdict, and that you will render your verdict only on the evidence introduced and in accordance with the instructions of this court. Thank you. Put your hands down. Joe, do you swear that you will do the best of your ability to keep sworn jurors in some private place? You will not allow anyone to speak with them, and that you will not speak to them except under the court's order, and specifically, you will not ask them if they've reached a verdict, and until they are discharged, you will not communicate to anyone the state of their deliberations or the verdict they've agreed upon?
I do, so help me God.
Okay. All right, folks, now I'm going to do some more reading, so enjoy my forehead. I'll now explain some of the legal principles you'll need to know and the procedure we are to follow in this trial. First, the prosecutor makes an opening statement where she gives her theories about the case. The defendant's lawyer does not have to make an opening statement, but he may make an opening statement after the prosecutor makes hers, or he may wait until later. These statements are not evidence. They are only meant to help you understand how each side views the case. To prove the charges, the prosecutor must prove the following beyond a reasonable doubt. We got to talk about this too. I think there's a way to make this flow better. First, that the defendant assaulted or assault and battered Krista Noel Calloway. A battery is the forceful, violent, or offensive touching of a person or something closely connected with him or her. The touching must have been intended by the defendant, that is, not accidental, and it must have been against Krista Noel Calloway's will. An assault is an attempt to commit a battery or an act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend an immediate battery. The defendant must have intended either to commit a battery or to make Krista Noel Calloway reasonably fear an immediate battery. An assault cannot happen by accident. At the time of an assault, the defendant must have had the ability to commit a battery, or must have appeared to have the ability, or must have thought he had the ability. Second, that at the time, Krista Noel Calloway was the defendant's spouse and or had a child in common with the defendant. Forgot to get their notebooks, their iPads. So, Mr. Clark, do me a favor, or Mr. Martin, I'm sorry. You're in front of the iPads. Hand everybody one of those. So, folks, you can put this on the floor under your chair. You can leave it on the counter in front of you. You can ignore it completely all day long. Or if you're like me, if you're a visual learner and it helps you to see something rather than hear something, you can follow along as I read the instructions. If you go to the jury instructions, there's a what do they call it? Sub-menu. If you want to follow along, we're in procedural instructions on page 3. Once again, you could ignore that if it's distracting for you, but if it'll help you follow along, that's the purpose for the iPad you've got. Everybody have a chance to find trial procedures? All right. I'm on paragraph 4. Next, the prosecutor presents her evidence. The prosecutor may call witnesses to testify and may show you exhibits like documents or objects. The defendant's lawyer has the right to cross-examine the prosecutor's witnesses. After the prosecutor's presented all her evidence, the defendant's attorney may also offer evidence, but does not have to do so. By law, the defendant does not have to prove his innocence or produce any evidence. If the defense does call any witnesses, the prosecutor has the right to cross-examine them. The prosecutor may also call witnesses to contradict the testimony of defense witnesses. After all the evidence has been presented, the prosecutor and the defendant's lawyer will make their closing arguments. Like the opening statements, these are not evidence. They are only meant to help you understand the evidence and the way each side sees the case. You must base your verdict only on the evidence. And then I tell, you have been given a written copy of the instructions, that's the electronic version. You may refer to them during the trials. Since no one can predict the course of a trial, these instructions may change at the end of the trial. At the close of the trial, I will provide you with a copy of my final instructions for you use during the deliberations, and that'll also be on your iPad. My responsibilities as the judge in this trial are to make sure that the trial is run fairly and efficiently, to make decisions about evidence, and to instruct you about the law that applies to the case. You must take the law as I give it to you. Nothing I say is meant to reflect my own opinions about the facts of this case. As jurors, you are the ones who will decide this case. Your responsibility as jurors is to decide what the facts of the case are. This is your job and no one else's. You must think about all the evidence and all the testimony and then decide what each piece of evidence means and how important you think it is. This includes how much you believe what each of the witnesses said. What you decide about any fact in this case is final. When it's time for you to decide the case, you are only allowed to consider the evidence that was admitted in the case. Evidence includes only the sworn testimony of witnesses, the exhibits admitted into evidence, and anything else I tell you to consider as evidence. It's your job to decide what the facts of this case are. You must decide which witnesses you believe and how important you think their testimony is. You do not have to accept or reject everything a witness says. You are free to believe all, none, or part of any person's testimony. In deciding which testimony you believe, you should rely on your own common sense and everyday experience. However, in deciding whether you believe a witness's testimony, you must set aside any bias or prejudice you have based on the race, gender, or national origin of the witness. There is no fixed set of rules for judging whether you believe a witness, but it may help you to think about these questions. Was the witness able to see or hear clearly? How long was the witness watching or listening? Was anything else going on that might have distracted the witness? Does the witness seem to have a good memory? How does the witness look and act while testifying? Does the witness seem to be making an honest effort to tell the truth, or does the witness seem to evade the questions or argue with the lawyers? Does the witness's age or maturity affect how you judge his or her testimony? Does the witness have any bias or prejudice or any personal interest in how this case is decided? Have there been any promises, threats, suggestions, or other influences that affect how the witness testifies? In general, does the witness have any special reason to tell the truth or any special reason to lie? All in all, how reasonable does the witness's testimony seem when you think about all the other evidence in the case? The questions the lawyers ask the witnesses are not evidence. Only the answers are evidence. You should not think that something is true just because one of the lawyers asks questions that assume or suggest that it is. I may ask some of the witnesses questions myself. These questions are not meant to reflect my opinion about the evidence. If I ask questions, my only reason would be to ask about things that may not have been fully explored. During the trial, you may think of an important question that would help you to understand the facts in the case. You are allowed to ask such questions. You should wait to ask questions until after the witness has finished testifying and both sides have finished their questioning. If you still have an important question after you do this, do not ask it yourself. Raise your hand, write the question down, and pass it to the bailiff, and that's Officer Krova. So if you don't mind, Mr. Martin, go ahead and pass those steno pads out. Those pads will allow you to keep notes. Once again, if you find note-taking distracting, don't do it. If notes will help you, feel free. In those pads, you'll also find a couple questionnaire forms. So if you have a question for a witness, that's the form. You can write it down on that. Wave it around. Officer Krova, Heather, one of us will see it. The way I'm going to do that is if you have a question, I'll look at it. I'll bring both attorneys up. The three of us will look at the question. We'll discuss the question. If the three of us decide that it's a proper question, or if we feel that we can tweak it a little bit to make it a proper question for that witness, it'll be presented. If we don't think we can get it to the point where it's a good question for the witness, it won't be read. I'll explain to you later why, but at that point, we're just going to move forward without the question. So if you have any questions, that's the format. On the other hand, if you cannot hear what a witness or lawyer says, please raise your hand immediately and ask to have the question or answer repeated. Let's see, objections. During the trial, the lawyers may object to certain questions or statements made by the other lawyers or witnesses. I will rule on these objections according to the law. My rulings for or against one side or the other are not meant to reflect my opinions about the facts of the case. Sometimes the lawyers and I will have discussions out of your hearing. Also, while you're in the jury room, I may take care of other matters that have nothing to do with this case. Pay no attention to these interruptions. You must not discuss this case with anyone, including family or friends. You must not even discuss it with the other jurors until the time comes for you to decide the case. When it is time for you to decide the case, I will send you to the jury room for that purpose. Then you should discuss the case among yourselves, but only in the jury room and only when all the jurors are there. When the trial is over, you may, if you wish, discuss the case with anyone. If I call for a recess during the trial, I will either send you back to the jury room or allow you to leave the courtroom on your own and go about your business. But you must not discuss this case with anyone or let anyone discuss it with you or in your presence. If someone tries to do that, tell him or her to stop and explain that as a juror, you're not allowed to discuss the case. If he or she continues, leave and report the innocent to me through Officer Krova as soon as you return to court. You must not talk to the defendant, the lawyers, or the witnesses about anything at all, even if it has nothing to do with the case. It's very important that you only get information about this case in court when you are acting as a jury and when the defendant, the lawyers, and I are all here. I don't think you're going to have a chance to do this, but don't go to the scene of the alleged crime. Do not investigate anything about the case on your own or make any experiments. Do not search the internet on your phone to assist in understanding the evidence in this case. I've already explained to you about the note-taking. Number of jurors. You can see that we've chosen a jury of 7. After you've heard all the evidence and my instructions, we will draw lots to decide which one of you will be dismissed in order to form a jury of 6. Possible penalty should not influence your decision. It is the duty of the judge to fix the penalty within the limits provided by law. I may give you more instructions during the trial, and at the end of the trial, I will give you detailed instructions about the law in this case. You should consider all my instructions as a connected series. Taken all together, they are the law you must follow. After all the evidence has been presented and the lawyers have given their arguments, I will give you detailed instructions about the rules of law that apply to this case. Then you will go to the jury room to decide on your verdict. A verdict must be unanimous. That means that every juror must agree on it, and it must reflect the individual decision of each juror. It's important for you to keep an open mind and not make a decision about anything in this case until you go to the jury room to decide the case. How are we doing? Are you ready to keep going? You need a break? You want to take a break?
I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
Would it be any problem if I could sit back here so I could just stretch my legs? That would help me. Address
I have no objection.
We can keep track of him if you move him one seat back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, Mr. Anderson.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's take a break then.
Okay.
Let's take them right into the jury room, bathrooms there, everything else. Did any of you leave anything out on the pews? Any personal property? Yeah, all right. It's fine there because one of our officers is always in the room, okay? If you need it, go grab it. All right? Go ahead. There should be waters back there. If there aren't, let Joe know. I got a trooper on now. I got a trooper coming in too.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
I show that you're on the schedule for arraignments today, and we do have an in-custody defendant with MSP out of the DDC that I'm trying to coordinate. So we should have Trooper London from MSP. We should also have a DDC representative with the defendant, and then Crystal Marie Medina is our MIDC for today.
Okay, I didn't catch all that. Are we ready?
The defendant still needs to speak with MIDC, so I'm waiting for them to join so I can put them in a breakout room.
All right, send somebody up with a file too.
I will, thank you.
Thank you. It'll be all right.
I'm gonna go to bed.
I'm good.
You're good?
Yep. Oh, sorry, Fred, didn't need you. Hey, question for you. What's the defendant's name on this arraignment? Okay, do you have any idea? Do you have any idea who this Tia Boone is that's in my Zoom? All right, thanks.
I have court today.
You don't have court with me. What's scheduled?
Huh?
You do not have court with this courtroom. What are you scheduled for?
Driving with suspended license because I didn't know my license was suspended.
All right, do you have your notice in front of you?
No.
All right, so go to our website. I think you want Magistrate Hinman's courtroom.
Excuse me, who did you say?
Hindman.
Okay, look for that courtroom.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You know who's running Al's docket tonight?
Mackenzie? Wait a minute.
How you doing, brother?
All right, how are you doing?
I'm good. How's that for right now?
It's just questionnaires for today.
It's right. Yeah, if I were you, I would. Chances are, once we start, I don't think we're gonna stop the trial. Though. So it's gonna be pretty quick.
Yeah, you just go straight down and all the other side of the doors.
I don't know if we can cut this the way that. So we're, I don't know if I need to put. Or put them.
I can leave that, it goes somewhere back in the grab one.
Oh, okay.
Seems like we should be able to put all together.
There should be, yeah.
So, for future reference.
Yes, thank you for saving me when I was flapping with that.
You don't tell me when you have a problem.
Oh.
Wait till I ask, because the way I tend to do it is I let you both ask all your questions and then I go back and forth. It saves a lot of time because I might kick 3 at the same time, replace 3 at the same time.
And that way.
Yeah, yes, because
Okay.
what we end up doing is we end up going through it all individually
Yeah,
with each
when we could have
replacement.
just done it.
Yeah, yeah.
One chunk
So
at a time.
just
Yeah.
for future,
No,
the
thank
key is just wait until I ask if you have challenges, but I didn't want to call you out.
Oh, no, thank you. I always appreciate
Yeah.
the feedback. And sorry, I think we did, just real quick, for introducing photographs. Normally, I prefer to publish them, like log into Zoom and choose screen share. But since I'm not sure if they can see.
They got cameras over there.
Yeah, if you look,
Oh.
they have TVs right in front of them. Everybody's got.
On the inside of the wood.
Oh, okay, perfect. So is it okay if I log into Zoom too? Yeah, yep, you're on first. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
There we go.
You guys are ready, right?
My client just went to the bathroom.
Yeah, as soon as he's got.
Yeah.
Here's the file.
Oh, thank you. If Christine Medina, is it Kristen or Christina? Medina. Crystal, yeah. If Crystal hurries, we can do this before we bring it back.
Yeah, very. It's good. It's really good. Yeah. It's growing. Excited. So we're our office is Birmingham. Yeah. I know. More convenient coming up. I gotta tell you, Troy over here is not convenient.
No.
Go
down here again.
Right here this morning.
It's getting cool again.
I can't believe I did this.
But it doesn't feel bad.
Because every Monday, this drive.
And everything's under construction.
Everything's on. Wow.
Everything, everywhere.
Well, the wrong way drivers is confusing me, because even this morning at 275, there was a wrong way driver.
It took me an hour to get here. Usually it's, it's insane. There's no way to get around all the traffic. All the construction.
Kills me, they're working on the freeways, so all the other routes that we normally do.
Yeah.
They decided to work
Work
on
on
those
those,
too.
yeah.
So it's gonna happen.
Don't think so far that stuff.
No.
It's really, you get fucking drafting your starter like Henry. Like you don't want to with what it's happening.
It's just reverse order. That makes sense.
No, I mean, it's big. You look at your chart.
There's
Like,
like
it's night and day.
Yeah, right. You're right.
How you need it.
You know what I'm thinking about doing this thing? Since Memorial. It's like, yeah, next year. See what I gotta do to get tickets. I really miss the not seeing. I always thought that was good.
I just think,
Yeah. And then I'll bring it up before, you know what? It's easier to get rid of one guy.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, look at the size. You can find, it's easier to find a friend. Just becomes a seller, and you can find.
I'm curious how he will do this outsized. I mean, he did fine in juniors.
You know, he just, killed it.
Right.
Like on the number like the outside.
Yeah, he gets someone to try. Yeah, it's like they gotta be the next day.
Well, you know, I mean, Chicago's. They'll do the grass. Let them grow up. Yeah, protect them.
That's what makes me. We said some protect. When you started all the way through. Housekeepers, the only one.
Yeah.
For a cat. Yeah, they don't have any.
No, I want to get that right. I want to give the shit. I thought it was like the Tuesday first rounder. I would have taken that.
That'd be interesting.
Tuesday, they say he's a sequence.
Are we ready on Lawrence?
We are ready. Oh, sorry. Here comes. Ready on Mr. Williams.
Trooper, do you have Miss Lawrence?
She's not in my custody. She was just put in breakout room with.
She was with the DDC, Your Honor.
All right. I guess we're waiting for them to connect then.
They were in the breakout room with me. I may just need to be closed for them to come out, maybe.
I do show that they're present in the main session and that their audio and video are connected, but it looks like we can't actually see them, so I'm not sure. Maybe they're having a technical issue.
Miss Lawrence, can you hear me? No, they're in the meeting. They're just not connected.
I'm gonna call them and see if they're having
Thanks,
some
Drew.
technical issues.
Thank you. Can you change the camera so it's on me for the right?
Judge, if you'd like, I can remove them from the meeting and see if they just rejoin. If that might fix their problem.
All right, try that. I'm having a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just called them. They're gonna relog back in.
Thank you. Okay,
They show up at night. But then Macomb County Judge should be they have them in
They
custody.
both have it.
They both.
Somebody's wrong.
I think it's Wayne County.
Trooper London, this isn't working very well. I've got a jury trial. I took a break to do the arraignment. Yeah, I guess I'll call you when I'm ready for another break and see if we can do it then. 'Cause I can't wait all day.
All right, that
Hold
sounds
on,
good.
hold on,
Sorry.
hold on. There we go. Miss Medina, are you ready on Laura?
I'll be out.
Counsel, your appearance.
Crystal Marie Medina, Your Honor.
Would you waive formal reading?
Yes, sir. Reading and stand mute. Thank you so much.
All right, probable cause conference will be by Zoom, June 21 at 8:30 with Judge Martin. Miss Lawrence, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk bond. Miss Medina?
Yes, yes, Your Honor, I did have the opportunity to speak with Miss Lawrence. She indicates that she is 27 years old. She indicates she's never been in trouble before, Your Honor. She indicates she is a single mother of 2 children. She indicates that her children are young children, Your Honor, and has indicated she is their sole caretaker. She indicates that she maintains stable residence in Kalamazoo, Michigan with her children, Your Honor. She was just recently hired to work at a school as a teacher for the summer program, Your Honor. She also is a business owner of a hair business in downtown Kalamazoo, Your Honor. She indicates that she does have significant medical concerns such as PTSD, postpartum depression, and anxiety, Your Honor. I do understand that these are serious allegations. So does Miss Lawrence, Your Honor. However, they are allegations at this time. She understands she's had no contact with the complainants. She understands she needs to come to court to address these, and she looks forward to doing so, Your Honor. But she is unable to post any type of monetary bond. At this time, these are just allegations that she needs to address. And we would ask that the court consider all of that in determining a reasonable bond. Again, she is unable to post any monetary bond. We would ask that the court perhaps consider a high personal bond with a tether so that she can be released and get to her children and their care, her business, and her employment, Your Honor.
Thank you. Trooper London, I see your name on the bond recommendation. Anything you want to add to what's on paper?
Nothing too on paper. I just want to reiterate how serious these, I believe 14 charges are. In an interview with her, right after the incident, she did admit that she thought her 8-month-old child was in the vehicle that she shot at. But then later found out that the child was not in the car and that he was safe. That it's just really serious. And then if bond is given or posted, that there be no contact with victims, GPS tether, especially due to her living in Kalamazoo. I don't have very strong feelings of having her show back up to court. No possession of any weapons due to these charges, and no alcohol or drug possession, please.
Ms. Medina, anything else? You're muted.
No, Your Honor. I mean, I would just reiterate that she is 27 years old and she has no criminal history, Your Honor, and is unable to post a monetary bond, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lawrence, I am uncomfortable with a personal bond, given the allegations. I'm going to set your bond at 500,000, 10%, with a number of conditions. There will be a GPS tether required, location not curfew, not to purchase, possess, or consume any weapons or mood-altering substances unless you got a doctor's prescription, and no contact with any of the complainants, no contact of any kind. Social media, phone calls, third party, no contact of any kind. Any clarification necessary, Ms. Medina? Would you go tell Joe?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Good luck, Ms. Lawrence. Thank you, Trooper.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
You can put it back on the council table if you want. We're ready for openings now?
Yes.
Yes.
I had a kind of a fuzzy image. Same chairs if you can. Help us keep track of it. So folks, I'm going to apologize because I normally would have brought this up before the first break, but our schedule today is pretty much driven by you. So whether or not we break for lunch, when we break for lunch, how long we break for lunch, those are all up to you. You know, if we get towards the end of the day and it looks like we're not going to be done by 4 or 5, whether or not we keep working past 4 or 5, how long we keep working past 4 or 5, that's all up to you. I'm here at your pleasure and they're here at my pleasure. So you guys are going to kind of set the schedule within reason. So for example, if you decide at, if you decide at 1 o'clock you want lunch and you want it right now and we're in the middle of a witness, I'm probably not going to stop in the middle of a witness. But as soon as there's a decent place in the flow, just take a break, we'll have lunch. So at some point in the next hour or so, I'll give you another break, even if there's no other reason for it, but to give you a chance to have that conversation as a group, okay? We're now ready for opening arguments, and we'll start with the people, Ms. Mandrich.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for being here today. We're here because on February 12th, 2023, at 35971 Sussex Drive in Romulus, Michigan, this man, Mr. Altony Williams, assaulted his wife and the mother of his children, Krista Calloway. He assaulted her by grabbing her hand, pulling her to the ground, standing over her, and punching her in the face 3 to 4 times. Ms. Calloway will testify about what happened that day. She's going to tell you that there was some sort of argument, some sort of verbal argument between her and defendant. She's going to testify that she may have pointed her finger in his face. And that is when he, again, grabbed her hand. She will testify that he pulled her to the ground, he stood over her, and he repeatedly struck her. As I said, Ms. Calloway is defendant's wife and the mother of his child. You will see Ms. Calloway will testify that she was injured as a result of this incident. She'll testify that she had a swollen left eye, and you will see a picture of that swollen left eye. You will also hear the 911 call that she made requesting help and telling 911 what had just happened Now, I know the judge touched a little bit on credibility before. And it's up to you as the jury to use your common sense, your experience, your observation of any witnesses while they're testifying. It's your job to make the best determination you can as to who is telling the truth and who is lying. And the judge is going to tell you that you can believe all, some, or none of a witness's testimony. The judge is also going to tell you that when deciding whether or not to believe all, some, or none of a witness's testimony, you should look at, based on all the facts and circumstances, how reasonable, how does the testimony mesh up with all the other evidence in the case? So here, we don't just have Ms. Calloway's word, which in and of itself would be enough. We also have the picture that supports her story, and we have the 911 call. In order to prove domestic violence, that Mr. Williams committed domestic violence, I have to prove that he made an assault or battery, so an unconsented or unwanted or harmful touching to another person, or he made that person immediately fear that they were going to be harmed. And as we discussed before, we talked about the boxes of evidence case. Here, we don't just have Ms. Calloway's testimony, we have evidence supporting that. So I believe that after hearing her testimony, after seeing the evidence, you'll use your common sense and your experience as jurors. And I believe that you'll believe Ms. Calloway. And I believe that you'll find defendant guilty. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell.
Good morning again, you guys. Appreciate you being here. I want to first introduce you to my client, Mr. Altani Williams, 39-year-old male, proud father of their 3-year-old daughter, who he shares in common with Ms. Calloway, who's going to testify today. He's hardworking. He came here straight from work today to be here for this trial. There is no dispute that a tussle occurred. Everything else is in dispute. So let's go over some facts that happened on that day that led to this event that brought you guys here today. Prior to February 12th, there had been marital issues going on in this marriage. He had told her 2 days prior, or approximately 2 days prior, that he was getting a divorce. He was going to divorce her. That was strike one. Now on February 12th, at about 2:43 in the morning, she had called him saying that he was going to have to take her to Menards to go fix a sub pump and take her somewhere else to get a fridge or a freezer.
Refrigerator.
He said no. He said, I'm not taking you. At this time, they were already sleeping in separate bedrooms. And at 2:43 that night, he was in his own bedroom, laying in his bed with his 3-year-old daughter. And at that time, Ms. Calloway, after he said no to Menards, strike two, she came upstairs. She came upstairs into his bedroom and asked, why won't she take him? And she was mad. She wasn't just mad. When she walked in the bedroom, and she will testify her statement, she smelled perfume in the room. That made her even angrier. She challenged him on why the room smelled like perfume. Now, he didn't know why it smelled like perfume, but to her, it smelled like perfume. So you had a divorce, had him saying no to her when she wanted something done, and now the room smelled like perfume. And so when she went in there, she was angry. Angry while he was at 2:43 in the morning, lying in his bed, watching cartoons with his 3-year-old daughter, who had just woken up. She came in upset, pointing her finger, and she'll testify to, and the rest is in dispute. See, when she came in angry, irate, pointing her finger, yelling at him, she started to attack him. My client will testify to that. And when he got up, she blocked herself, but blocked him from being allowed to exit that room. Again, a room that was separate from the room she sleeps in. He had no escape. And a tussle occurred. And she fell, and she hit her head, and he walked right out the door. Now, she can claim injuries. She had a swollen eye. She fell. She followed him down the stairs. She was screaming, now you're in real trouble. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to get you charged, which she did. He left, he got in his car, he drove away, he called the police as well. The police were telling him to come back to the scene, take statements, which he did. He gave his side of the story, she gave hers. As a prosecutor of 9 years, as a defense attorney, a lot of times when there's a victim or when there's a female who's injured, the male is getting charged. That's what happened on this case. Now, the officer who investigated, they don't have to prove to decide a charge beyond a reasonable doubt. That's up to you here today. The officer has to investigate and decide, could there have been a charge? Probably it happened, maybe it happened, I don't know. His burden is a lot lower when you decide this charge. Your burden is higher. It's the highest it can be. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, without a shadow of a doubt in your mind, using your common sense, that she absolutely was assaulted. That my client, who's 350 pounds, stood over her and punched her. That's what they want you to believe. And that she was able to get up with just a swollen eye and chase them downstairs. Ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you right now that that as my client would testify, if that was going to happen, she wasn't going to get up. It's not what happened. She attacked him. He's the victim. And at the end of this, I'm going to ask you to prove that, or to find my client not guilty of this crime, and do your jobs as jurors. And I appreciate you guys being. Thank you.
Thank you. We ready for witness?
Yes, Judge. The people call Krista Calloway.
Thanks, Tim. Ms. Calloway, all the way up front. All the way up here. Watch your step on this incline ramp.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. Swear affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth today.
I do.
Settle in that chair right there. Your witness, counsel.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Calloway. Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record?
Krista Calloway.
Thank you. And just before we get started, I would just ask that if you don't understand a question, or if you need me to talk slower, just let me know and I can rephrase the question or I can repeat it. Please make sure that you verbalize your answers, so no nodding or shaking your head because the microphones can't pick that up. Please talk loudly. I feel like I'm shouting in court. And if you don't remember the answer to a question, or if you don't know the answer to a question, that's completely fine. Just let us know. Okay? Okay. So I am going to take you back to February 12th, 2023. Where were you that day?
Was laying on a chair downstairs in the front room.
Okay, in the front room. Well, actually, yeah. What address were you at, if you remember?
35971 Sussex Drive.
Okay, and I'm sorry, you said that was in Romulus?
Yes.
Okay, and what's at that location?
What do you mean?
Is it a vacant lot? Is it a house, an apartment building, a grocery store?
It's a house, it's a subdivision.
Okay. Can you describe the house for us?
Kind kind of like grayish on the outside, white, awning on the out around it, like some like maroon burgundy window, like
Okay.
shed. Am I talking too low?
Yeah.
I'm
Pull
sorry.
that mic a little closer, you might help me. That'll help.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, like a grayish blue is the house.
Okay.
White awning.
And sorry to interrupt you, just, do you remember how many bedrooms are in the house?
It's 4 bedrooms,
4 bedrooms? Is it, how many stories?
2 stories.
2 stories, okay. Who else was there with you?
My brother, my child,
I'm sorry, you said your brother?
my brother,
Okay. What's your brother's name?
David
What's his last name?
Calloway.
Calloway, same as your last name?
Mm-hmm.
And how old is he?
33.
Okay. And I'm sorry, and then you said your child?
My child.
How old's your child?
At the time she was 3.
Okay. And who's the father of your child?
Tony Williams.
Okay. And what was your relationship with Mr. Williams?
That's my husband.
Okay. Do you see Mr. Williams in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you please point to him and tell us something that he's wearing?
He has on a Michigan shirt.
Your Honor, I would ask that the record reflect that the complaining witness has identified the defendant, L.
Noted.
Tony Williams.
Noted for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. And was anyone else in the house with you?
My father.
Your father?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your father's name?
David S.
And I want to take you back to about 2 a.m. that night, or that morning. Did something happen that brings us to court today?
Yes.
What happened?
So I woke up because we were supposed to be working on the sub pump that gave out in the basement because the basement had flooded a little bit.
Okay, do you know about what time you woke up?
It's about somewhere around 2:10, 2:15-ish, somewhere around that window.
Okay.
And because we were going to work on it together, me and Mr. Williams.
What happened after you woke up?
I called his phone and I'm like, are we still going to work on the pump? He said, yeah. I said, by the way.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I said, are we still going to work on the pump? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, by the way, while I have you on the phone, I wanted to ask you if you could do me a favor and go with me to go pick up this refrigerator from Menards for Pops. And his response was no. And I was like, no. He was like, no. I was like, I'm not asking for any money. I'm just solely asking if you can ride with me so I can pick up the U-Haul because I don't want to leave my car at an unfamiliar place. It was somewhere in Inkster that I wasn't familiar.
Okay, so were you able to transport the U-Haul in your own car?
I'm sorry?
Or I'm sorry, were you able to transport the refrigerator in your own car?
Not on that day. Oh, in my own car?
Yes, would it have fit?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what happened after you asked him to go to Menards with you?
He said no. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I don't work on your time, and hung up. So I went upstairs.
Okay, and sorry, just to sort of set the scene. So where were you sleeping in the house?
There's like a chase in the front room. So I was sleeping on the chase. Like I was waiting for him to come back because he went to Myers to go get some putty. So when we needed to like change out the pipe.
Okay. So you were sleeping on the chase in the front room. Do you know where where defendant was in the house?
He was upstairs.
Okay.
With our daughter.
Do you know where he was upstairs?
He was in the bedroom.
Okay. And you said your brother was also in the house?
Yes, but he was asleep in his room.
Where is his room?
Going up the stairs is to the left.
Okay. And compared to your brother's room, where was defendant sleeping?
Down the hall. Like if you're going up the stairs, you go straight down, go down 2 extra steps.
Okay.
And that was our room.
Okay. And you said your father was also in the house?
Yes.
Where was your father?
He was in the family room, sleep, in the hospital bed because he had just recently been released from the hospital.
Okay. Okay. So what happens after you go upstairs?
So I go upstairs, he's on his phone. I said, why did you tell me no? And he was like, because I don't work on your time. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to pay for the U-Haul. Like, I already have everything set up. I just genuinely need you to just ride with me so I don't have to leave my car at some random gas station that I'm not familiar with. And he said, no, I don't work on your fucking time. And I said, I bend over backwards whenever you need me to do something. I'm simply asking you to help me with this one thing. And you constantly tell me no, but whenever I say no, it's a problem. I was like, I'm sick of it. And he was like, whatever and whatnot. So my daughter is asleep. She's sitting right next to him. I smell perfume, so I pick up a bottle off the floor.
Okay, I'm
which
sorry. You said you smelled perfume?
Yes, like one of my bottles of perfume had leaked or something, which I saw it on the floor.
Was it your bottle of perfume that you saw on the floor?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do when you saw the bottle of perfume?
As I'm leaning down to get it, I'm holding on to the bed where he was laying on the side he was laying, which is normally my side. And he was
Okay, I'm
like,
sorry, just to again set the scene. So you come in the room, he's laying on the bed,
Mhm.
and you said that you put your hand on the bed when you picked up the perfume bottle?
when I was going to get the perfume bottle to brace myself.
Okay, so, do you know how far away was the perfume bottle from the door to the room? If you had to guess.
Probably about maybe 7 or 8 feet away from the door.
7 or 8 feet away from the door,
Yes.
so, I believe from you to the podium, that would be about 6 feet. Was it, further away from the distance between the perfume and the door? Was it further away? Was it more than the distance between you and this podium or less, if you remember?
It was about maybe that distance,
Okay.
maybe a little less possibly.
Okay, so, you pick up the perfume bottle, and what happens next?
As I'm leaning on the bed, he's like, don't fucking touch me. And I'm like, I'm not touching you, I'm just picking up this bottle. Which the smell was because the lid had cracked, so it leaked on the carpet. And I was like, I'm not fucking touching you. And he was like, don't touch me. And I'm like, I'm not touching you. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with you, but lately you've been acting not yourself and I'm not here for it. And he was like, don't point your finger at me. I'm like, I'm allowed to point my finger. It wasn't in his
Okay.
face. It was pointing in a direction like, I don't understand what's going on.
Okay, so, when you pointed your finger at him, how far away from him were you?
If Mr. Williams was here, like he's laying on the bed, I am probably right around here after the microphone, pointing
Okay.
my finger.
So I'm just gonna walk over here. So you're about here
Yes,
and he's,
on the bed.
okay, is that closer to the chair or closer to your hand?
Closer to the chair.
Okay. So that would be about 4 feet.
About less than that, maybe like 4 or 3 feet.
I'm
3 and a
terrible at
half.
distance, so I can't.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know distance.
Should have brought my measuring tape. Okay. So, you point your finger at him. Does he say anything to you when you point your finger at him?
Don't fucking point your finger at me.
Okay. What happens next?
By that point, he gets up and says, I'm gonna show you. He grabs my wrist and I'm like, let go.
Okay, I'm sorry, what did he say?
I'm gonna show your ass I'm not to play with. He grabs my wrist and then I'm trying to get him, break his hold. And I'm like, let go of me. He swings and throws me in the bed. And then he gets on top of me and start punching me in my left eye. By this point, our daughter starts waking up and I hear her saying, stop, stop, stop. And I'm screaming.
Okay. Did he say when he grabbed your hand, did he say anything to you?
I'm gonna show your ass.
I'm gonna show your ass?
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna show your ass I'm not to play with.
Okay. Did you want him to grab your wrist?
No.
Okay. And then you said that he threw you onto the bed. So you testified earlier that you were about 3 or 4 feet away from the bed when you pointed your finger at him?
Yes.
Okay. How far, if you know, how far away from the bed were you when he grabbed you?
Maybe like a midpoint, a
Okay,
midway point at that point.
okay. And do you know if he used one hand or if he grabbed you with one hand or 2 hands?
Originally, it was one hand.
Okay,
And then by that point where he got force of me, he used his whole force with both hands.
okay. Did he say anything, how was he positioned on the bed with you?
He got on top of me when he was punching me in my eye.
Okay. Did he say anything when he got on top of you?
I don't recall.
Okay. How many times did he hit you in the eye?
About 3 or 4, but it felt like forever.
Okay. Was he saying, do you know if he was saying anything when he was hitting you in the eye?
I don't recall. I
Okay.
just heard my daughter yelling, "Stop, stop, stop."
What happened after he punched you in the eye?
He eventually got off of me. He was at the foot of the bed and said, "You did this to me. This is all your fault. You want a nigga to go to jail." Grabbed his coat and then was out the door.
Okay. And what happened next?
My daughter asked me, "Mommy, are you okay?" I'm sorry. She asked me if I was okay. And as I tried to get up, I'm like, ow, ow.
Did you have any pain?
In my eye, yes, and in my left side of my face.
Okay.
And then I kind of saw a glimpse of my face at the mirror. And
What did you see in the mirror?
my eye was closed.
Okay.
I realized that my phone wasn't in the room for me to call 911. I left it downstairs. When I initially went upstairs to like ask him why, he said no.
Okay. So, what happened? Did you get your phone?
What I did was I ran with Melania in my arms, yelling for my brother David. And he opened his bedroom door and I handed Melania off to him and said, "Keep the door shut until it's safe. I don't know what's gonna happen." And I ran downstairs.
Why did you tell your brother to keep the door
Because
shut?
I didn't know if he was gonna come back upstairs for round 2, honestly.
Okay.
And I ran past him because he was still standing in the living room, grabbed my phone and called 911.
Okay, and I'm sorry, who was in the living room?
Mr. Williams.
Okay. And you grabbed your phone and called 911?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you call 911?
Because I was in distress. I didn't know what else was gonna happen. I was scared.
Okay. What were you scared of?
I didn't know if he was gonna continue to try to harm me. I didn't know if he was gonna flip out. There was already things I was concerned of his well-being because he hadn't been acting like himself.
Okay. What happened after you called 911?
When I called 911, he came, I was going towards the kitchen. He came from the opposite way because there's an open floor from the living room into the dining room into the kitchen.
And he was going on about me playing the victim, how it's my fault and don't fucking worry. He was gonna divorce me. I should have known then that he didn't want to be with me anymore with my ugly ass. And so on and so forth. And I said, if you didn't want to be with me, it didn't have to be like this. Like, you didn't have to do this. And at that point, the 911 caller advised that I get away from him.
Okay, sorry, I don't want you to tell me what 911 told you yet.
Okay.
Where is Mr. Williams when you're making the 911 call?
He was in the living room.
Okay. Was he in the living room the whole time you were making the call?
Initially, I believe so.
Okay. Do you remember if he moved at some point?
He moved in the process of me explaining to 911 what was the reason for the call.
Okay.
And came in the kitchen where I was at.
Did he make any statements? Did he say anything to you when you were on the phone with 911? Did Mr. Williams say anything to you when you were on the phone with 911?
He said something about me playing he look at you playing the victim. And then he was like, that's all right. Well, we just want you to know, like, basically, I'm gonna divorce you. You should have known that I didn't want to be bothered with your ugly ass anymore.
Okay. And did the police respond at some point?
They did.
Okay, without telling me what they said, what did they do when they got there?
When they got there, they asked if it was a call. I said, yes, I called. I explained to them what had occurred. They took the report. The one police officer came in the house, saw my eye was closed up pretty bad. I'm not sure what the other officer was doing. I think he was interviewing Mr. Williams.
Okay, if you don't know, that's fine.
I don't know. But he took my statement and then he asked me if I wanted to press charges and go from there.
Okay. Did anyone take pictures of your eye?
Yes, one of the officers took pictures.
Okay. And you said that your father was in the living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Did your father wake up at all during the incident?
He did wake up, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, Judge, I would ask for just a moment to pull something up. Your Honor, this is an audio file. I've shown defense counsel what I would mark as people's proposed exhibit 1. Ms. Calloway, did I have you listen to the 911 call on my laptop earlier today?
Yes.
Okay, and was that a clear and accurate representation of the call that you made to 911?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move to admit people's proposed exhibit 1 as people's exhibit 1.
Mr. Kaplan.
No objection.
It'll be admitted, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to replace a report of my husband slapping me in my face. And bruising my face. 359 7166 Drive, Robert, Michigan, 48174. Is he still there now? Yes. Are you inside or outside? He's at the house. Okay, is he inside as well? Yes. Have you guys been drinking? No. No? Do you need an ambulance? No. Okay, what's your name? Krista. Krista? Yeah. Is there anyone else there with you, Krista? My father is in the bed. He's in the hospital bed right now. My daughter is upstairs. My brother is upstairs. Okay, and it's 35917, correct? 35971. 71. Okay. So what's his name? I did not provoke you. I'm pointing my finger. And you slapped me in my fucking face. My face is fucking swollen. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay. Can you go into a different room, Krista? Yes. No. Are you able to wait in another room, Krista, or outside in the car? At this point, man, he's trying to leave the situation right now. Like he's trying to pull up. Okay, just let me know what kind of car he's in then. No, that's not it. No, it's not. Is he leaving? He's trying to leave right now. I'm going outside. Okay, what kind of car is he gonna leave in? Yeah, like Dodge Journey. The white Journey? Yeah, it's 2015, like plate number. It's JG7337. It's Ohio Plate. It's J as in John, G as in George, T as in Tom, right? Yeah. 7337 out of Ohio. Okay, just let him leave, okay? I'm gonna have him over there shortly. Are you waiting inside or outside now? Outside. He's in the outside still? Okay. Did he leave? He's leaving now. He's leaving now. Okay, if he comes back, I just want you to give me a call back right away, okay? Okay, they're gonna be there soon. Thank you, ma'am.
And just to back up a little bit, you were in the kitchen or the living room when you called 911?
I was in the front room retrieving my phone.
Okay.
And I was calling them going towards the kitchen.
Okay. And Judge, I'd ask for just a moment. Something up. And I am joining the virtual courtroom via Zoom.
Yeah. If it's by Zoom, you only get that screen.
Oh. Do you have an HDMI cable? Judge, I am showing defense counsel what I would ask to mark as People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
Object. That'll be admitted.
Would you like me to lay a foundation through the complaining witness, Judge?
Yeah, no objection to laying the foundation.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Permission to approach the witness,
Yeah.
Your Honor? Ms. Calloway, what is it I'm showing you?
Showing a picture of me and my injury.
Okay, sorry, could you
You're showing a picture of me, of my injury to my face.
okay, and is that a clear and accurate representation of your face after the incident?
Yes.
Okay, and, Your Honor, I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 2 as People's Exhibit 2.
No objection.
Now it's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish?
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Calloway, I'm showing what has been admitted as People's Exhibit 2. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
My eye is bruised and swollen. Clearly I've been crying. But my left eye was swollen at the top.
Okay.
And it was hard for me to open.
Okay, was your left eye swollen before he punched you in the face?
No.
Okay. Did you get any medical attention for your swollen eye?
I did. EMS were called. There was an issue, I guess, as far as like being able to get to the location. So I went to urgent care in the morning.
Okay.
And then I followed up with my eye specialist the next day.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Mr. Kaplan, your witness.
Hello.
I just have a few quick questions for you. Prior to this alleged incident, were you guys having marital problems?
We were.
Had he told you that he wanted a divorce?
No.
Did you believe that he was possibly, did you have any belief that he was texting other women or accused him of that in the past?
In the past, like what?
The past little while before this incident that occurred?
Oh,
For the most part, were you guys sleeping in separate rooms?
yes, after an incident.
So you guys are sleeping in separate rooms and you thought it was a good idea to come approach him, to call him at 2:45 in the morning?
We were supposed to work on the sub pump.
At 2:45 in the morning?
Yes.
And when he said no, did that anger you?
It didn't anger me. I was confused.
So why did you go upstairs that night if he already said no to you and you're sleeping in separate rooms and he's laying in bed with your 3-year-old daughter?
Because I wanted to understand why he was saying no to the fact of riding with me to go pick up a U-Haul.
So at 2:45 in the morning, you thought it was the appropriate time to go upstairs calmly and ask a question, but you weren't angry.
I was not upset, angry. I was just confused. Like I didn't understand why he was saying no.
And then, I apologize.
Your Honor, I would ask the witness
Yeah,
to
I
be allowed
apologize.
to.
Yeah. If you finish, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine.
And then, so you're standing in his room while he's in the bed and you start pointing your finger at him. Why did you start pointing the finger if you weren't angry?
I pointed the finger because I didn't understand how he could tell me no so quickly when literally all of that week, all of that time, he's asked me to do things and I've done it with no hesitation, especially with his gambling.
No further questions for this witness.
Redirect.
Briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Calloway, was defendant employed at that time?
No, he quit his job and didn't inform me until 2 or 3 days later after he quit it. And His reason for quitting was they were playing games with him.
Okay, were you employed at that time?
Yes,
Where were you employed?
pneumatics,
I'm sorry,
pneumatics,
pneumatics, and what pneumatics? And what were your hours?
7:30 to 4
AM or PM?
a.m., 7:30 a.m., 4 p.m.
Okay. Had you previously agreed on a time to work on the sub pump?
Initially, we were gonna work on it when I was waiting for him to go get the stuff from Myers. I
Okay.
was tired and I fell asleep, and when I woke up and saw what time it was, that's what prior me to call him and ask were we still gonna work on the sub pump.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Another question. Ma'am, you sit down, watch your step on the ramp, please. Ms. Mandridge, what's next?
Your Honor, the people would call Officer Paisley.
Thank you, Jamie. Good morning, officer. Come on up. Swear affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Come on up here. Watch your step on my ramp. Settle in that chair. State your full name. Spell your last for the record, please.
My name is Byron Paisley. Last name is Paisley.
You can sit back a little bit. You're loud enough.
Good, Your Honor?
Yep.
Thank you. Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Who are you currently employed with?
Romulus Police Department.
How long have you been with Romulus?
Approximately 5 years.
5 years? Okay. What's your current assignment?
Patrol.
Patrol. Okay. How long have you been a police officer for?
A little over 30 years.
30 years? Where did you work before Romulus?
Retired from Inkster.
Inkster?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a specific assignment in Inkster?
I work narcotics.
Narcotics?
And detective. Yes.
Okay.
And patrol.
Did you go to any sort of school or receive any education?
I went to the police academy.
Okay. And were you working on the date of February 12th, 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember who your partner was that day?
Well, actually, I was by myself.
Okay.
Officer Green was in a different vehicle.
Okay. And you said you were working patrol for Romulus at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain what your duties as a patrol officer are?
Respond to police runs, police calls.
And did you receive a call on 2/12/2023 at about 2 a.m. for 35971 Sussex Drive in Romulus, Michigan?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened after you received that call?
Well, I made the location. And once I got to the location, I wound up making contact with Mr. Williams.
Okay. Did you have any interaction with a Miss Krista Calloway?
Later, yes, after I talked to Mr. Williams, yes.
Okay. Can you describe Mr. Williams' demeanor to us when you made contact?
He was pretty calm and cool.
Okay, where was he physically?
When I first got there, he was inside, sitting inside of a vehicle, I believe.
Okay. And you later interacted with Miss Krista Calloway?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do any investigation at the scene?
Yes, I did.
What investigation did you do?
I actually talked to her.
Okay. Did you take any photographs of her?
I did.
Okay. Your Honor, I would request permission to, well, it's already been admitted, but People's Exhibit 2.
Go ahead and pull it up.
Thank you. Officer, I'm showing you what has previously been admitted, and it should be on that little screen in front of you too.
Okay.
I'm showing you what has been admitted as People's Exhibit 2. Did you take this picture?
Yes.
Okay, and did you observe any injuries on Miss Calloway's face that day?
She has some puffiness to her face, yes.
Okay, and can you describe her general demeanor when you were speaking with her?
She was, upset, very upset.
Okay, what makes you say she was upset?
Because she was crying and stated that her and her husband had got into an altercation.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Mr. Campbell.
How you doing, Mr. Paisley?
How you doing, sir?
It's good to see you on the other side sometime.
Good to see you.
So you were on patrol that night and you spoke with my client?
Yes.
And you interviewed him?
Yes.
And what did he tell you about the incident?
He told me that him and his wife got into an argument because he didn't want to go to Menards.
All right, and did you ask if you ever struck her?
Can I look at my report?
If you need to refresh your memory, I have no problem with that.
No objection, Your Honor.
He never stated that he struck her.
Did he deny striking her?
Yes.
And did he say that? What did he say about her? Did he say that she was attacked?
He said that she attacked him.
And you cite in your report that there was minor injuries to the complaining witness, Ms. Calloway?
Yes.
So after a 350-pound man hit her allegedly 4 times in the head, you saw that there was only minor injuries?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. I have no further questions on this.
Redirect of the corporal.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Corporal, can we release the corporal back to his duties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Corporal. Be safe. Watch your step on the ramp. What's next?
Your Honor, at this time, if defense has no objection, I would move to amend the people's witness list to excuse Officer Green. So that he can be
No
released.
objection.
Thank you.
Your Honor. The people have no further witnesses.
We're going to call Mr. Williams to stand.
You folks want a break? You want to keep going? Keep going? All right, Mr. Williams, come on up. You've heard me warn everybody else. So watch your step on that ramp. Raise your right hand. Swear affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth today. Have a seat. Proceed, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Williams, you state your name for the record.
Tony Williams.
And where were you before today? Like, Where'd you come from today?
I just got off work.
Where are you working?
Alpha USA.
Okay. And how do you know Miss Calloway?
We're currently married.
How long have you been married for?
Almost 5 years now.
And has there been marital issues?
Yes.
And have you spoken about those marital issues?
Yes.
Was there anything that happened about leading up to February 12th, 2023?
Oh, multiple. I'm gonna say about 6 months before we led up to the incident.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I just, I would ask that the scope of the question be narrowed,
Timing wise?
timing wise.
Within about a week to 10 days prior to the incident, was there anything going on in your marital relationship?
Yes.
What was it?
She was looking for like stupid reasons to try to provoke me, I guess, like to get me to argue with her and things in that nature, but I never will bite the bait. And she will follow it up saying, I know you want to hit me. As soon as you do, I'm gonna call the police and press charges on you.
And she said that prior to this incident?
Yes.
And were you guys sleeping in separate rooms?
We was.
Okay. And at that, around this time, had you spoken to her about getting a divorce?
Not only did I spoke to her about divorcing her, what I wanted to say, and I'm gonna keep it within the week that led to this incident, but what I meant by the 6 months is I've been brought up divorce to her several times. And one of the times that we slept in the same bed together, and she started a dumb argument.
Again, Your Honor, I would just ask that the scope.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair enough.
I grabbed my phone.
When
for
was
divorce
this?
and she saw it.
Do you know when was this incident you're talking about right now that you're describing?
That happened probably a month before the incident, but.
All right, and so a couple days prior to the incident, had you brought up divorce?
A couple days prior to the incident, I flat out told her, I said, look, you know, you talking about some, you know, you want to be happy, and you know I'm unhappy. So I mean, if you know you don't want to be married no more, we can go ahead and get divorced. And her whole thing was she didn't want to get divorced, and so it's been talked about, you know, numerous times.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Oh,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I think we're possibly heading towards some hearsay issues.
Warning.
From your perspective, had the conversations about divorce caused friction between you and Ms. Calloway?
It did, and like I said, she had tried to like provoke me, but you know, just start dumb arguments, and me not biting the bait, she'd keep following up with, I know you want to hit me. As soon as you do, I'm gonna press charges on you.
So I want to go to February, the night of the incident, February 12th, 2023. Around 2:43 in the morning AM, where were you?
I was on 35971 Sussex.
And prior to that, did you go anywhere prior to that?
Yes, I went to Myers to buy some plumbing equipment to do the sub pump.
Okay. And so now around 2:43, you're home in the morning in your bed in the room that you sleep in separately?
Yes.
And were you with anybody?
Our 3-year-old daughter at the time.
Okay. And what were you guys doing in bed?
Well, she had just woke up, and whenever she do around that time, I always, you know, let her watch her cartoons and she go back to sleep, and that's what we was doing.
And you love being a father?
I love it.
Prior to this incident, did you have a close relationship with your daughter?
Oh yeah, I've been there since day one. I said I go over and beyond for my daughter.
So now you're in bed with your daughter, and what happens?
Krista come in the room and she questioning me about why I don't want to get up and ride with her to help her get a refrigerator. And I told her, I said, for one, I ain't know nothing about this. You know, you could have warned me and let me know. You know, I went to Myers. I brought all my stuff. I didn't plan to leave the house because the Super Bowl came on that day.
And I mean, it's 2:43 in the morning. Were you trying to sleep or with your daughter? Or?
I was timing our daughter, waiting on her to go back to sleep so we can work on the sub pump together.
Okay. So now I want to just, if you could describe, you're in bed. How are you laying? Are you on your stomach, on your back?
Actually, I was laying on my stomach because I wound up playing chess on my phone.
Okay, so your daughter's watching TV and you're just kind of playing a game on your phone, chess on your
Yep.
phone. Okay. And prior to Miss Calloway coming up, did you get a phone call?
I did. She called me and she didn't originally bring up the refrigerator. Me going with her to get a refrigerator. She was asking me what time she was asking me is we gonna change the sub pump? And I was telling her that, you know, our daughter just woke up and you know, she go to sleep, we can do it. But when she came upstairs, that's when she sprung on me the refrigerator that I knew nothing about.
Okay, so now you're laying on your bed on your stomach playing chess. When she comes in the room, what happens?
When she comes in the room, she asked me if I wanted. No, she asked me could I go with her later that morning to get the refrigerator, and I told her no because you know you just not bringing it on me. I didn't have no plans to leave the house, and so she got to pressing her hands in my back, and you know, just nagging and bagging, you know, like trying to get me to change my answer to yes, I ride with you, but I kept it no. So she put her weight all in my back. And as you see, she got some size on her just like I do.
And stop. When you say she put weight in your back, what does that mean? Are you still laying on your stomach?
I'm still laying on my stomach and she's pressing both hands on my back.
And when you say pressing, can you describe the force that you were feeling?
My back was feeling like it was caved in.
All right, so she was using an immense, trying to use force.
Yeah.
And what was she saying when this was going on?
She was just she didn't sound like she was angry. She was just like almost like a kid. Like, please, can we go to the store? Please, can we go to it was like something like that. And I'm begging her to take her hands out my back because you know it was hurting. And so when I went to go push her hands off my back, she pushing my hands off her hands, and it was hurting. So I pushed her arms out. I pushed her arms off my back, and while I was pushing her arms off my back, she started attacking me.
And when you say attack, what do you mean by attack? And
it was a tussle. She started hitting me.
Open fist, closed fist. Could you describe how she was hitting you? Nails?
I won't say nails. She was just like, you know, swinging wild.
And so when this started, because you started this when you were on your back, you started to try to move her. What did you do?
When that happened, I was trying to leave the room, and she had ran to the door, and threw her, she turned her back face to the door and threw her body like that. And
What did she say anything when she did that?
Tom Austin, where you think you going? I told her, I said, get out my way. I say, I'm tired of you. I say, I'm gone. And so she wouldn't move. So when I tried to move, it was a tussle again. And I used force to get her out the room.
So when you say use force, what did you do to get her so you can get out of the room?
I pushed her.
So you pushed her out of your way.
I pushed her out my way.
That just because she was blocking the doorway?
Yes.
Okay. And she fell?
Yes.
Okay. And what'd you do next?
I left. I went in the living room. My father-in-law, he was sitting in his doctor's bed. And I told him what happened. And he just shook his head. And as I'm going in the living room to grab my shoes to leave, she come downstairs and following me, talking about where do you think you going? I said, I'm gone. I say, I'm out this house and I'm getting a divorce. And she said, oh no, you ain't going nowhere. I'm calling the police to press the charges on you. And so when she did that, I left the house and I called the police too and explained to them what happened.
And then did you come back to the house?
I didn't come back inside the house because when I called the police and explained to them what happened, they asked me, could I stay until they get there? And I said, the only way I will stay is if she don't come outside after me. If she come outside after me, then I'm gone. She didn't come outside, so I sat in the driveway until they got there.
And then when the officers got there, you spoke to Officer Paisley who testified today?
I spoke to them and told what happened.
Now, the victim, as you heard today, stated that you had punched her 3 or 4 times. At any point during this altercation, did you ever punch her?
No, and I just want to say I'm 350 pounds. I trained to box for a year. I'm bench pressing over 400 pounds. If I punched her, she wouldn't have got up.
So at no point were you trying to attack her, you were just trying to get free?
I was trying to get free.
Okay. And just one last question. Are you still in the process of trying to get divorced?
I am. And I filed for divorce. And since we couldn't have any contact, when Krista brought our daughter to my mother's house, I left the I think it's a summons or a divorce summons or something.
You left legal paperwork?
Yeah, I left the legal paperwork for her to sign and she still ain't signed it.
So, and what's your daughter's name?
Milani Williams.
Milani. Now, since this case, there's been no contact order in place with you. Has Ms. Calloway worked with third parties so that you can see your daughter much?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance. This isn't a custody or parenting time hearing.
I think, Your Honor, I think it goes to this whole case of why what the defense theory is that she wanted these charges because after he explained to her that she wanted a divorce.
Do you think it goes to motivation?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that the testimony at least be limited. I don't want this to turn into a custody and parenting time hearing.
I don't either.
No objection to that. I do family law too. I don't want that here. I just want to know, this was my last question, is has she been using this case to make it difficult for you to be a father to?
Oh, extremely. I haven't saw my daughter since. And was she telling the courts what as far as our daughter it was nothing like that. Our daughter is not scared of me.
Objection, Your Honor, we're getting into some hearsay.
I think we are.
I just wanted that last answer. Nothing further right now, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, may I briefly run out of the room?
Sure.
Thank you. Your Honor. I'm sorry, I'm just going to. We can bring something up. Your Honor, I spoke with defense counsel, and he is going to stipulate to the admission of People's Exhibit C, which is the 911 call that defendant made that night.
Okay, that'll be admitted.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Judge, if I play the 911 call through HDMI, will the audio come out through the courtroom? Okay, just because that might sound, we can try it because that might be easier for the jurors to hear.
We've got IT specialists here. We'll figure it out.
Okay, other than that might be better than my super technological Wayne County laptop. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon.
So you indicated that you had filed for divorce, correct?
Correct.
When did you file for divorce?
The same day I got out of jail.
Okay. So that would have been what day?
I think that was February the 13th.
February 13th of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And you live in Romulus?
At the time I was.
Okay. At the time that you filed for at the time you filed for divorce, were you living in Romulus?
No.
Where were you living?
I was living in Detroit.
In Detroit?
Yes.
Okay, so still in Wayne County, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that you served Miss Calloway with, or you tried to serve Miss Calloway with paperwork, correct?
Correct.
And you actually filed for divorce, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so your divorce, so you filing for divorce would be in the Third Circuit Court Family Division's website, correct? Because you actually filed for divorce?
I went to the Tacoma Young Municipal Center and I filed for divorce.
Okay, so if that's not showing up in the Third Circuit Court Family Division's database, that would be a technical error?
If it wasn't the 13th, because I went the same, as soon as I got out of jail, I went to go get some gas and got something to eat and I drove straight there. And that whole week I was going back.
I'm sorry, sir. Let me rephrase that question. Yes or no, have you actually filed divorce papers with the Third Circuit Court?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So yes or no, if your divorce is not showing up in the Third Circuit Court
It's
Family
gonna
Division's
show up.
website, that's a technical error?
Oh, it's big time.
Okay.
I paid for it and everything.
Perfect. And you testified earlier that Ms. Calloway put her hands on your back, correct?
Yes, she put her weight, pressed her weight on my
Okay.
back.
And you were laying on your stomach, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you were on a bed, correct?
yes.
Okay. When she put her hands on your back and put her weight on you, did you believe that your life was in danger?
I didn't believe my life was in
I'm sorry, that's a
danger.
yes or no question.
No,
No, you didn't believe your life was in danger. Did you believe that she was going to seriously injure you and send you to the hospital at that point?
I was in pain. She was hurting my back. She not no little woman.
I'm sorry, she's not a little woman. Can
She's
you
not a little
explain
woman.
that to us?
Okay, well, I'm gonna be brief because I see where you're going with this. She's a full-figure BBW.
Okay. And you said that you were a trained boxer, correct?
I'm not a trained boxer. I trained to box for a year.
You trained to box.
For a year.
Okay, so you trained
But
to be a boxer, yes?
I'm not a professional boxer.
Okay. And you testified earlier that you bench pressed over 400 pounds, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that you grabbed her hands, correct?
I pushed her hands off my back.
Okay. And then I believe you testified that after you said that you indicated that she blocked the door, and then you indicated that you grabbed her again to get her away from the door, correct? You just yes or no?
I would object to
I-
the, I'd object, Your Honor. It's misappropriating the testimony we heard from him about grabbing her.
Yeah, the grabbing part.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
When the attorneys talk objection, you don't get to talk. Any response to that, Ms. Mandarich?
Judge, I can narrow the question.
Try again.
Sir, you indicated that there was a tussle, correct?
Correct.
Okay. During that tussle, yes or no? Or I'm sorry, and you stated earlier, you just testified that during that tussle, you used force to get her out of the way, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How did you use force?
I had to push her out my way to get out the room.
Did she want you to push her?
She didn't want me to leave the room.
Okay. Where was your cell phone? I'm sorry, you testified that you were playing chess on your cell phone when she came into the room, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So your cell phone, so you had access to your cell
Yes.
phone? Okay. Did you call 911 when she came up in the room?
It wasn't nothing that I saw to call 911 for.
Okay. Your Honor, I would request permission to publish People's Exhibit 3.
Is that the 911 call?
Yes.
That was stipulated to, correct, Mr. Kaplan?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm
That'll
sorry,
be
Judge, this
admitted.
is going to take me just a minute because evidence.com blew me out.
I'm calling police because my wife had provoked me. She attacked me in self-defense. I got her off me, and now she's trying to make me seem like I'm a bad guy. Okay, what's your address? 35971 Sussex Drive, Barnabas, Michigan, 48174. Okay, and what's your name? Tony Williams. What, I'm sorry, what is it? Tony Williams, so Williams. Okay, are you both separated right now? No, in the house, are you separated? She's outside. I got you talking to y'all, and I'm outside too, with my shoes in my hand, possibly. Okay, we have officers around, but what I would suggest to you is you just stay away, until we get there. Obviously, don't have any contact with her, don't talk to her, whatever, and, we can figure this out once the officers are on. Okay, cool. That's so my next question to you is, do y'all want me to stay? Cause I don't want to warrant on you, nothing like that. I'd rather just take the issue as it is. Like I said, I can't tell you one way or the other. If I'm not there, I don't know what happened. Obviously, both you and you said your wife. Yeah, she don't play business, but both you and your wife are there. Okay, I don't know what happened because I'm talking to you over the phone. I don't know what she said. That's going to be up to the officers on when they arrive on scene to make that determination. Okay. What's that? I said it's fair. Okay. Like I said, the officer we have on the board. Like I said, just if you can stay away from her. I'm gonna stay away from her, but I'm going to sit in my car until I get there. And if she comes towards the car, then I'm gonna leave just look for the cop. Okay, that sounds like a plan to me, sir. All right, what kind of car? Just so I know when officers are arriving. I have a white 2015 Dodge Journey. 2015 Dodge Journey. Can you park in your driveway or the street? I'm parked in the driveway. Okay, like I said, I will let the officers know, okay? Okay. All right, thanks, sir. Thank you.
So you didn't, on the 911 call, you didn't tell officers that she had attacked you, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, that misquotes the testimony here. She said that she provoked him and she attacked him.
I thought that's what I heard.
Oh, thank you, Your
You
Honor.
can replay it if you want to.
I'm sorry, you didn't tell 911, or actually, nothing further, Judge.
Mr. Kaplan? Redirect?
Testified today, and you just heard of the video, you stayed calm, correct?
Yes.
And you had testified, or in the 911 call that happened just right after that, you said that she had provoked you?
Yes.
And she said she had attacked you?
Yes.
And then you used force to get her off of you?
Use force to get off me and to get out that room.
Is what you said on that 911 call then same and still true today?
Very true.
Okay. Nothing further on. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Sir, you can step down, watch your step. Any rebuttal witnesses from the people?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm gonna guess you probably want a few minutes before you do closings?
Possibly, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, let's do this. So the way this works is, at some point, the attorneys and I go over what we just went through and we kind of agree on what our final jury instructions will be that I present to you. Usually that takes us 20, 30 minutes, right? Yeah. So, and what we'll do is then I'll let them do their closing arguments, give final instructions, send you back to deliberate. I can let you take a quick break for lunch now while we go through those final instructions, or I'll just have you chill in the deliberation room for that 20 or 30 minutes, whatever it takes us to get the iPads updated with those final instructions. It's your call. You want to take a quick break for lunch? All right, understand, I'm gonna have you cool your heels for about 20 minutes or half hour while we get ready to that point. Okay, all right. If you'll take them back in the deliberation room. Yeah. All right, if you two will pull up final instructions. Take the box if you want it. You all right? Okay. All right, you guys got it up?
Yep.
Final instructions, page 1, duties of judge and jury, no change.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
I do not have this.
On the,
Okay.
iPad, right next to you.
You have to
Oh,
go.
on the iPad.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have it on the iPad.
Here, I can help you.
Oh, there we go. Instructions prior to voir dire.
And then go to the
Final instructions.
So tech savvy at this place now.
There.
All right, so duties of judge and jury stay, presumption innocence, burden of proof, reasonable doubt, as is. Oh, yeah, we can do that. How do we do that? It's not doing anything. Well, if I